UK politicians are holding hearings on the dire state of medical care on the Strip. The International Development Committee is questioning a range of experts, including many who have witnessed the destruction in Gaza firsthand. A UN inquiry recently concluded that Israel is deliberately destroying Gaza's medical infrastructure. Well, we can speak now to Dr. James Smith. He's an emergency doctor who's been to Gaza twice this year. He joins us from London. Many thanks for your time, Dr. James. As I said, you've recently just returned from Gaza, your second visit since the war began. How has the healthcare situation there changed in that time?
I mean, the healthcare system has completely collapsed. It collapsed in October of 2023. The Palestinian Ministry of Health made that declaration towards the end of October last year. The situation has only deteriorated further since then. As I've said many times before, it's a testament to the sheer determination of Palestinian healthcare workers that the situation isn't more catastrophic as of today. But the majority of health facilities from the north to the south of the Gaza Strip have been either completely destroyed or rendered non-functional. And the situation in most health facilities, certainly in the north of Gaza now, is apocalyptic, to say the least.
Well, did you manage to enter northern Gaza, which has been under siege now for over a month now? So the information we're getting from there is pretty scarce.
I visited Gaza City in the north of Gaza on separate occasions with UN convoys. But that was back in May and June of this year. What I can say is that at that time, the majority of UN pre-approved convoys were held often at gunpoint by Israeli soldiers in the Netzarim corridor. We had several incidents in which UN convoys were stopped or turned back, which meant that essential fuel, medical equipment, other forms of humanitarian assistance didn't reach the north of Gaza. As I say, that was the situation back in May and June of this year. The situation, as I'm hearing from colleagues in Gaza, is exponentially worse now.
And how are ambulances operating in the areas that you were in Gaza? I mean, given the dangerous terrain, the fuel shortages, are they able to reach the injured?
In short, no, only in rare circumstances. As you say, fuel is incredibly scarce, even for essential vehicles such as ambulances. Many paramedics and other healthcare workers, of course, have been killed by Israeli occupation forces. I witnessed several ambulances that had been destroyed by the Israeli military. For example, outside Al-Amal Hospital in Khan Yunis, vehicles that had been covered in dirt and debris and were no longer usable. Other essential medical infrastructure that had been completely destroyed, generators, lorries, hospital departments, medical equipment. I even saw ultrasound machines where the Israeli military had cut the wiring connecting ultrasound probes to the machines so that they could no longer be used. Just the most gratuitous violence and destruction of the entirety of the health system in Gaza.
Given what you've just described, the UN have said that Israel is destroying Gaza's healthcare system deliberately. Israel has denied this. So, based on what you've been telling me and your experience in Gaza, do you agree with the United Nations? Is it deliberate?
100%. There is no other way of describing what the Israeli military has done to the Palestinian healthcare system in Gaza and throughout occupied Palestine. This is an intentional and systematic attempt to undermine the healthcare system with the aim of amplifying the impact of Israel's military violence as a means to further suffering and further the effects of the genocide.
We're talking today because the UK Parliament is hearing from doctors who've been to Gaza and who are sharing their experience of the situation there. Do you think, what do you think that is going to achieve? And do you think the UK government, as well as other Western governments, are doing enough to stop the war in Gaza?
To your latter question, we need to be absolutely clear. The UK government is complicit in the ongoing genocide. The UK government has suspended fewer than 10% of its arms licenses with the Israeli military. It continues to call for a ceasefire, but hasn't made any serious or political or diplomatic attempts to enforce a ceasefire. There have been no serious conversations about sanctions against the Israeli government and its armed forces. The UK government needs to do far, far more than it has done in order to bring about an end to the genocide in Palestine. With respect to the discussions ongoing today, the session being held at Parliament is titled "How Bad is the Healthcare Situation in Gaza?" Now, there is no one that can tell us that parliamentarians in the UK Parliament are not aware of how bad the situation is in Gaza right now. I myself have been to Parliament and I've spoken to MPs. I know several colleagues that met with not only the current Labour government, but the previous Conservative government, including then the Foreign Secretary David Cameron, and they were explicitly clear about the violence that had been enacted against the Palestinian people. The UK government and the UK Parliament is abundantly aware of what is happening to the Palestinian people and that it is the Israeli state and the Israeli military that is perpetrating that violence.
OK, Dr. James Smith, thank you for your time, an emergency doctor who's been to Gaza to work there.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.